I'm Waxela Sananda. Thank you for joining me today. So I have this idea to present you with today, and that is that your frequency generates your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Your frequency generates your thoughts, words, and actions. Now, quite often, we think it's the opposite. The things that we think, the things that we say, and the things that we do have us be in a certain frequency. But I want to challenge that idea today. So here's what happened. The other day, I was meditating and I heard this in my mind. My guidance or whatever downloaded me with your frequency creates your thoughts, words, and actions, or generates that. And they're generated from that vibrational level that your being is at. What I found in the past is I used to, let's say I would arrive at a certain level, a certain frequency, and I'd be feeling really good and everything was going smoothly. And then I'd find myself falling back into old patterns and old, or rehearsing those old ways of being that weren't necessarily where I thought I was, right? I did mantras, drumming, I did astrology, I went to psychics, I worked on myself, meditation, of course, which I still do. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. Those are all great things to do and to practice. However, you must have a foundation in place to hold yourself at the frequency that you're moving up to. What if it could be easy and we have it all backwards? So our frequency generates our thoughts, words, and actions. Our frequency generates our thoughts, words, and actions, not the other way around. So when we're putting all of this effort into our daily practice and our mantra and our meditations and all of the things that we effort to do, eating the right food and following the right diet and doing yoga and exercising and doing all the right things and you name it, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And we find ourselves in a certain place, which is, definitely getting better day by day, incrementally. Well, then what happens when we get to a point where we can't do all of that every day, or we don't have access to good food, or we don't have access to our yoga class? Maybe many people experience that during the recent lockdowns. What happens? Does your whole routine fall apart? Does your mindset fall apart? Do your thoughts start to degrade? And for a lot of people, the answer is yes. This is something that you might spend so much effort on it, it can fall apart when you're generating your frequency from efforting through your thoughts, your words, your action. And I'm not saying it's not possible. It absolutely is. And there's an easier way. So thinking of it from our frequency generates our thoughts, words, and actions. Think about, you can compare it to being in a good mood. When you're in a really good mood and you're happy, nothing is going to destroy your good mood. Or at least maybe you have a friend like that, where they're just so up that when you get together with them, you naturally feel up too. Nothing damages their mood. That is because they're operating at that higher frequency mood level. And it's very possible and probable that their mood is generated by their frequency. So what do I mean by that? The mood is generated by the frequency. When you're at that, in that super happy place, when your frequency's up, when you've stepped into this higher version, transformed version of yourself that you're envisioning, then you're already there. Then you're automatically thinking thoughts that are aligned to that frequency. When you're in a low frequency state or a negative state, you're generating, dark thoughts, fearful thoughts, thoughts of suppression, thoughts of, oh, am I going to be, is something going to be taken from me? Is my bike going to be stolen? do I need to hide my valuables in my car when I lock it, or someone will break in? These are fear thoughts, right? They're lower frequency thoughts. And then we can micromanage ourselves. No, 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 it's all fine. It's all clear. It's good. But it's this constant like back and forth, back and forth. That's when you're sort of teetering, trying to get to a new frequency, but you have this habit of rehearsing negative thoughts or fearful thoughts. So it takes some extra effort every time to remind yourself, and sometimes a lot of effort, like, no, I'm really worried about that. I'm really fearful about that. I'm really scared of that. And there's a lot of fear being broadcast in the world right now. It's also part of our purpose work to hold higher frequencies at such a level that they entrain others into those frequencies. It's really it's like the popcorn effect, where if I'm holding a higher frequency than the people around me, they'll naturally entrain to that higher frequency. And someone who's not at that frequency is going to naturally just kind of fall out of my circle or naturally self-select out. And that's okay. You might find when you do this work that new people show up, new opportunities show up, new doors open, and things start to happen and align in a way that you couldn't really have imagined before. And along with that, some of the old people and some of the old maybe jobs or experiences or things that you used to participate in start to fall away because they're no longer compatible with your higher light frequency. You can do this type of work you're on your own in the efforting way, where I think people used to go hibernate, maybe not hibernate, but meditate in caves for long periods of time away from society to bring up their frequency. But in modern age, that's very unlikely. I mean, you might be able to go to a meditation retreat now and then, but the thing to look at is what happens when you go back into your life, when you're around your family, when you're around people that trigger you, when you post something on social media and someone makes a negative comment, when you're in traffic and you get cut off, where do you go? Where does your mind go? This is the thing to notice and pay attention to. Because when you're in your higher frequency being, when you're in your ascended states, it's not just one state, but when you're in those ascended states, you'll respond naturally from the frequency that you're at. So pay attention. I would challenge you to go into your life and pay attention when you're out in the world. How is it landing? How is your mind reacting? How are your words and your actions reacting to those things that happen naturally, that are not always what you wanted, that are, the things like getting cut off in traffic, and maybe you lose your keys, maybe it's someone calls you with bad news, maybe it's trouble at work, maybe you missed an important date on something that you needed to submit. Whatever it is, where do you go? Where do your thoughts go? Do you go to lack and limitation? And if so, that's not a bad thing. It's just to notice, oh, I've kind of stuck myself at this place where this is where I go, and it's fear-based or it's lack-based. And when you're operating, when you've really stepped into the new earth frequencies, those higher frequency states, the lack consciousness is gone. It's like, oh, I've got this handled. Or someone cut me off in traffic, that's okay, go ahead. It's not effortful when you're there, when you're happy, when you're in a high vibrational state. It doesn't take effort to be loving, to be kind, to be generous, to be open-hearted, to be compassionate, to see someone in need and offer assistance or guidance or a kind word or even eye contact. It's part of who you're being when you're at that higher frequency, and your frequency dictates your thoughts, words, and actions. So even when people do go to a meditation retreat and come back and find themselves at that lower point, what we need is a support system a system of support to hold us accountable, to have us practice that higher frequency way of being so that we can step by step incrementally hold that frequency so that we can evolve and emerge at this place of a higher way of being that we don't need the support for anymore. It's very difficult to do it by yourself. That doesn't mean it can't be done. It can be. However, it's very, very helpful to have a support system for that. I've been doing this work, this personal growth work, for 30 years now. And I have been through my struggles. I've been through times where I had a mentor and I had accountability, and I've been through periods where I didn't have that. And I can tell you definitively that having a mentor, having a guide is infinitely helpful in this process. And so I'm going to share with you what I do. And this is not, I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm not asking you to make any kind of decisions. I'm just sharing with you that this is what I found. I've spent 30 years of my life learning my spiritual path, practicing shamanism, spirituality, connecting with the divine, practicing being a channel, and communing with other dimensions of reality. For me, magic is part of my daily life now, and that is such a blessing. And it didn't just come overnight. I didn't just wake up suddenly. I've been, like I said, practicing for 30 years. I did it the long, slow way for the most part. But I can tell you that when I've had a mentor, it was fast tracking me. And I'm grateful for those times when I did invest or invest time, money, effort, whatever it was, into my mentors, because that had me exponentially grow and transform and see. That's the other thing, see things that I couldn't see for myself. Sometimes it's really helpful to have someone reflect that back to you. So I have put together what I call embodied ascension training. This is something that is a culmination of my life's work. And it has 11 foundational modules that you go through. But essentially, I'm not going to tell you what they all are. Essentially, what it does is takes you from the vibration that you're at to the vibration that you desire to be. And you have accountability, and you have a partner, and you have coaching, and you have support, and you have a container to help you get there so that it's sustainable. So that when you come out on the other side, you're like, yes, I've got this. Now I'm here. And you can walk back into your life. And if you find yourself getting sucked into your old ways, you have the tools, you have the support, you know what to do. And it's much easier to bring yourself out of those situations in a good way, because who you're being is from this higher frequency. And you don't have to hire me. You don't have to take my course for that. There are many wonderful teachers. There are many wonderful courses. Of course, I'm partial to mine because it's the one that I spent my life creating. However, I would urge you to just contemplate, what does it mean my frequency generates my thoughts, words, and actions, and then start to shift your frequency from there and see what happens. I will put a link to book a call if you're interested in embodied ascension training and coaching with me and learning more about what I do and what I offer. I'll put a free call link. You're welcome to book a call and discuss it with me or someone on my team who would be happy to help you create your vision and help you step into that higher frequency place that I know you're ready for. I know, because you found me, because you're here, and because we're doing this ascension journey together on this planet right now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. I love you. I cherish you. Namaste.